We're starting right here, chapter 5 of the book, The Majesty of Calmness. If you haven't read the chapter, that's all right. I got you. If you're in the replay gang, I would encourage you to just go ahead and read the chapter and come right back here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here with you. Failure as a Success is the title of this chapter. Why did we get into this whole book study? It is so that we can retreat, number one, take time out and go find solitude, find clarity by being with yourself. Do you know you can be with yourself in a room full of people? That's what reading a book does. Nothing takes you into a world of your own like reading a book, except you are reading the book literally with someone else at the same time. But if not, you're in a world by yourself. So that's what we're doing. The second one is to rejuvenate. You've done 2024. You've bloodied yourself. You have fought sweat and tears. You have jollofed everything. But we've gotten to the end of the year and there is need for strength to be replenished. Joy, peace, hope, love. That's the second thing. And then the third thing, to reset. We cannot face 2025 with the same mindset we came out with. Even if it might be similar, let it be improved. And that's why we're doing this book study. And I found that the majesty of calmness is the base mindset for us to build anything on top. Is the base character. I wouldn't call it a character trait. It is just the foundation of any pleasing character, of any productive, progressing person. That is the base. If we get the foundation right, you would see how that you're so majestic. What is majesty? Something to be admired, something authoritative, something that needs brooks no argument, something that is sure of itself, something just wonderful. Do you like it? And now we've talked about different chapters. We've talked about the power of personal influence. We've talked about last week the dignity of self-reliance. We spoke about even hurry, how hurry could encourage you to truncate the progress you're making. And we talked about how we could navigate that. And this time around, we are talking about failure as a success. And I was referring to my IG Live. In that IG Live, I talked about how that a lot of times we're able to encourage even other people who have failed and say, you can get back on it. But our own selves, many times, we're not willing to give ourselves the bandwidth. We know what we can tolerate. We know what we can't tolerate. We know better than that. So while you know something intellectually, you know something in your heart, we fall short sometimes. And guess what? We don't allocate. We don't allocate grace for failures because everything else should be able to fail, not us. If I say I should exercise 3 times a week and I start messing up, I deal with myself severely. How do I deal with myself? I go and lick ice cream, I go and this, then I hate myself even more. And then I'm like, just hide all the gym clothes. In fact, I'm going to stop paying for that gym. After all, you've not been there for the last 3 months. You're talking to yourself like you're talking to someone else. And you're like, it's just a waste of money. I don't go anyways. Who are you punishing? And I think today's class will find out, number one, to stop punishing yourself, leave allocation for failure. If nobody has told you before, I want to assure you in this world, if you are embarking on anything new, if you are living your life in new environments, if you're learning and putting your hand to the plow for something new, you will fail. What did I say? You will fail. If you like, reject what I'm saying. Failure just means that you don't do something, doesn't happen quite like you determined for it to do. But failure is not a finality. That is what I want you to know. Great men have written books like Failing Forward and all. I know we say, I can never fail. What we mean when we say that is just that failure is not my identity. Failure is not who I am. It might be a path to the goal. We never ask, oh my gosh, how many times did you fail before you got this business right? No. How many times Nelson Mandela did you fail before you liberated South Africa? We don't ask. But it is a certain part and path. I don't know why I'm mixing two words together, but it is the path to success. And are you ready for the reframe? Somebody put hashtag reframe in the chat. How many of you are ready to now look at failure? Because you refuse to do your annual evaluation because you don't want to really face yourself. You don't even want to open the goal book because I know I got 3 right. I didn't do some. Face it, face it. And don't ignore it completely. Maybe you failed at something, so you're only talking about the goals now you succeeded in. No, face all of it so that you can take the learnings and the gems in it. So was I the only one who failed at something this year? If you failed at something this year, I know it's hard to type. I gave a talk at the Women's Fiction Writers Association of America in New Mexico. And at the end of my speech, I was telling them how they could make a difference for another woman writer. At the end of my speech, I told them, turn to your neighbor and say this. I said, trust me, turn to your neighbor and say what is about to come from my mouth. So they were ready. I said, point. They pointed. And I said, tell your neighbor, you are what is wrong with this world. Oh my gosh. All these white women just gasped. There was another black woman. This is me. I was talking about supporting women of color writers. And I said, tell your neighbor, you are what is wrong with this world. How many of you can guess what happened in that class? And I said, don't worry, trust me. You have not put your emoji. If you don't put your emoji, you know I can't continue. So you got to put your emoji. I said, you are what is wrong with this world? And they were like, what do you mean? I said, say it. So they trusted me and they said it. And I said, also turn to the same neighbor with a smile this time. I said, you are what is right with this world. Ha! You should have seen the sigh of relief. So I want to tell you today, even though you may have failed, you're still a success. You are still a what? You're still a success. The Bible says in Genesis chapter 1 opened with failure. It was as though God traveled. The Bible said the earth was formless, without form, void. Darkness was upon the face of the deep. And God was there. Where was he when all this chaos was happening? I know we like to talk about how that God came in as a savior, but where was he when the world was scattered? Did you ever wonder? Okay, we're talking back to each other, right? Because if I don't feel you, there's a way it is to do me. I don't used to be able to talk again. Darkness was upon the face of the deep, and that's how God said. He took responsibility. But what did he first do? He brooded. The Bible says he brooded, he hovered upon the waters. The Spirit of God was contemplating, evaluating, analyzing what went wrong, what can we do? All right, how do we do what we want to do? That's what this chapter is about. This chapter is around where the Spirit of God was brooding. Are you ready to brood? Put in the chat, I'm ready to brood. I'm ready to brood. And we'll get into our chapter now. Woohoo! You know how we do. We go over the book and we pick out some lessons and we share. And from time to time, I'll ask you for your input, for your reflections. And I know that you're just going to unmute and talk to me. Share my screen now. And if you have any questions or comments as we go ahead and put it in the chat. I'll be addressing it as we go forward, okay? Yeah. All right. Was there someone who'd read this chapter before? I trust my Ogo. Ogo, are you here? I trust you like that. I know you would have read. Yeah, one day you did. All right, share briefly something that stood out to you before I go ahead and start.
For me, it's about the fact that success, great success, always comes from something that is dark,
when you're ready,
gloomy,
go ahead and
right?
read.
That like it takes the
I'll
death
get
of.
started. Kai, is this thing not hard?
Did you hear me, ma?
Is this not the hardest thing? Fruitless effort.
Wow.
In fact, this is what precedes the moment before we say, I'm not what doing again. This is the moment. This is the moment that precedes it. It requires heroic courage to face fruitless efforts, to take up the broken strands of a life work, to look bravely toward the future and proceed undaunted on our way. I dare say that this is the manifesto of the person who is a calm person. And note that when I talk about calm, I'm not just talking about, oh, someone is trying to talk. If so, it's me. I apologize. Okay, please go ahead. I didn't hear you. I apologize. Go ahead.
Elema, can you hear me?
Yes, Boo Boo, I can.
Okay.
I was hearing, but then it caught.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. I can. Go ahead.
Okay. So I said, I was really taken aback by the analogies he used. That it takes the failure of the pupa of, was it pupa or what's that thing for butterfly? It takes its failure for the butterfly to emerge. It takes the plants going into a night season for it to, come out the following day. So it was just like, see, there'll be that, it is very sure, and it is certain that there'll be that dark, gloomy phase of your life. And what should come out of it, according to what nature has prepared and made available, is great success. And also the fact that I said everything about us is what we make of it. And that was just so mind-blowing, what I make of my experiences, and that life itself is, we can only see the beauty of life by looking at it in retrospect, to see the satisfying experience that we have. So tangible for me.
Woo! That is so good. Thank you for sharing that. This is, anyway, you'll be seeing it as we're reading, but if Yewande has convinced you of anything, she has convinced you to go read your own self, even as we study together today. All right. So that means that the person who has mastered having a nurturing, sustaining, a calm spirit has the heroic courage to face fruitless effort, to take up the broken strands of a life work. You've worked on this thing, you've gotten the degree. It always used to amaze me when I hear nurses say they're taking their boards. And I'm like, wait, what do you mean? Doctors, lawyers, all these professions where you get your whole degree. Then they say, come and write a board. You already have the degree. You spent all those years in internship. You spent all that time studying, only to face fruitless effort. You're writing the exam 10 times. Meanwhile, you already passed. You have the degrees on paper. But they say, no, you're not yet qualified. To take up the broken strands of a life work, to look bravely toward the future, because the thing about failure is that it is but an occurrence. So when it happens, when the divorce happens, when the job firing happens, when the loss of money happens, when all these things happen, and you find out that there's still tomorrow. Tomorrow doesn't say, oh, wow, Ellie has been through something. Ellis has been through something. Let me just wait. No, time keeps going. I think that is the most flustering thing about nature. Nothing stops. You've gone through grief. Somebody really close to you has died, and time just keeps running. And somebody's like, oh, there's a future. What future? But it's right there. And we must look towards the future. If you like, turn your back towards the future still happening. But looking bravely, not looking desolately, not looking uninspired, not looking with this quitting demeanor, but bravely, and proceed. Anyhow it be. Proceed undaunted. Anyhow it be, that's literal translation in Pidgin English for undaunted. Let's share what? Let's be going. I don't know how it will be, but this journey, I'm going on it. I'm making it. But what to our eyes may seem hopeless failures, often but the dawning of a greater success. This statement is a hard one. What do you mean? What do you mean to tell me this thing I've put 10 years of my life into is ending, and you're saying is the dawning of a greater? I don't even want a greater success. Leave my thing as is. Don't give me greater success. Leave me where I am. Hopeless. Do you see how this is described? Hopeless. 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 So it's not even just, oh my gosh, did you forget to add that in? Oh, you shouldn't have made this mistake. And then they just put it in your performance appraisal. No, you're being fired. You're being blacklisted. Your certificate is getting pulled. Hopeless failure is often but the dawning of a greater success. What is that? What is that? It contains in its debris the foundation material of a mighty purpose or the revelation of new and higher possibilities. Why was it very important for us to read this first part? It is for you to see the constituents of failure. Failure means that you tried at something. You tried. It didn't work. Failure means that you explored a possibility that wasn't. Failure means that something has come to rock your world when it was supposed to lift you up. It's the result often of an endeavor. You tried, you even invested. Maybe there are people not even investing, they just put their money under their pillow. They now came and advised that, oh, we should be investing, that's how you build money. And I lost the money. What do you mean that it contains the foundation material of a mighty purpose? So the purpose I was doing, was it almighty? How many of you are asking some of these questions around some things in your life? Remember, we're doing this together, so put it in the chat. This person died, and you say, what? It's for a mighty purpose or the revelation of new and higher possibilities. It seems like a hard pill to take. And I would argue that there is no reason for failure. I would argue it before you would even think to. But it is something that happens in this world. The Bible says in this world, you will have trouble. It is a component of life in this world. You will experience adversity. You will experience setbacks, challenges. Sometimes it'll seem hopeless. The people who have done the greatest things in this life, their own failures often seem more catastrophic than if you're trying to live a tiny, small life. Even then, there's still failure. It's just that the failure is one you can live with. Have you ever had, I remember when I was in Uniport and there was this course, Physics 112, I will never forget it. And they said that, oh, I think I had a D. And I was like, never. I have A's in math. Like, I don't know what it means to not have excellent grades in math. I just came from secondary school. I'd had A1. Everything was good. And then you say I did not pass year one math that was like my SS2 math. And then people were like, oh, your own is good now. You even passed. I was like, what do you mean? They said two people had D's. If you were in chemical engineering, U98 said, you know what we went through? They said two people had D's. And that I should be happy I'm one of them. I should be happy I'm one of them. I remember my classmates looking at me like, what's wrong with this one? The people with Israel, like, thank God, though, I don't have to come back again. You know, those kind of things that there was one assignment here or the exam, he gave 2.5 questions. I don't know what he marked. Two of us had these. If I knew what I know now, that we would have been going to court. We would have been going to court because I do agree. It was a blatant lie. There was no reason for that failure in my mind. But did it happen? It happened. They even say I should be happy. I could have been celebrating because, you know, sometimes we benchmark. Is it only me or it's all of us? Oh, it's all of us. That's how life is. So you too. Oh, you lost money in that thing. Me too. We just want to have solace even in failure. It's not the way to reframe failure. It's not the way to reframe failure. The way to reframe failure is look on the other side of it. It's just like this phone. On this side is failure, on this side is success. One single phone. That's what it is. And there's a story he spoke about here. Let me share this with you. And then I'll share with you a story you can relate with. Oh my. How many of you have decided that you will see failure in a different light? What has stood for you in that first side? Just so you know, I'm collecting all the texts. If you're in the replay, drop it in the comment section. I'm collecting all the texts and it'll be as feedback to you all as we prepare the workbook. So good. So there was this guy, Mr. Joggins, and he wanted to send logs from Canada to New York by a new method. You know when you're like, I want to try something out. I wanna, and be very careful if you're one of those people, you laugh at people who are trying new things. Somebody's like, I want to learn a better way to cook jollof, and they decide to cook it in the oven. And you're like, I told you it will not be nice. I told you to, what is it? How does the rice affect you? Somebody just expanded the neural pathways in their brain of trying something new. You cannot be the one who is the naysayer just because you are afraid to try yourself. Don't be that person. Say, I'm not the one. I'm not the one. Anyway, so this Mr. Joggins, he came up with this new method. And he said, let's put logs together so that it would was to bind the logs together by cables. So wood, instead of just putting it on a ship, because where will you get all that, right? So now he tied it together and let a like a cargo ship or something drag it as a raft. Now, when the novel craft, everywhere you see novel, it just means new. They had never tried it before, at least not on this scale. When it entered New York, when it neared New York and success seemed assured, a terrible storm arose. Somebody say a terrible storm arose. What have you been trying in your life? New thing. And a terrible storm did what? Arose. How could I have lined everything up so perfectly? And this side looks like it's going left. And then as I got this promotion, I was celebrating, it's my career path. Then I got this horrible leader. And then the people started trying to sabotage me. A terrible storm arose. In the fury of the tempest, the bands, they just snapped. And the angry waters, I know sometimes when you're gisting it, even you use words like this. The angry waters, they just scattered the lost far and wide. The chief of the hydrographic department at Washington heard of the failure of the experiment and at once sent word to shipmasters the world over, urging them to watch carefully for these logs which he described. Remember, these logs are just traveling everywhere now. They don't know. In fact, it's cargo, it's goods. They're even trying to recover them. And then somebody tried to help. And then he asked people everywhere to note the precise location of each in the latitude and longitude, geography, exactly where it stopped and the time the observation was made. And people started reporting, hundreds of reporting. And somebody started tabulating. You know how sometimes you're trying to study, maybe how did this thing fail? And somebody is like, oh, don't even look at it. Just remove your mind from there. There's no need. Just go back and try again. Sometimes these things happen. No use crying over spilt milk. Maybe somebody passed and you say you want to do an autopsy and they're like, we don't do that. Just it has happened. Move on. That one is a hard one. But what are you trying to analyze now that either people are advising you or you, just because you don't want to keep facing the failure, you decided to leave? There's this statistic about second marriages after divorce, and it says that people who get into a second marriage, I know there's one statistic that say, oh, second marriages have a higher potential for future divorces. But guess what? They're also some of the most enjoyable marriages because somebody has learned from the first one. You analyze it, not just about, oh, look at this person. No, not just about the partner, about yourself. How did I get into this union with this person? Or this was my own part, or the next time this is what I'll do better. That is all analysis you can then apply to a new relationship. These observations were then carefully collated. Have you collated them? systematized, tabulated. What was the result of this thing? What we call ocean currents now. When people are understanding, maybe they lose a ship, a plane, something falls. This is what they now use. This system, this failure of what they consider then great proportions. People are not going to have firewood for fire. They will not have logs to build a house. Their loss led to something of greater importance. The loss of that raft was not a real failure. It led to one of the great discoveries in modern marine geography and navigation. My God, my God. Just look at that. Just look at that. It led to something even greater. Something that nobody thought about. What failure have you had in your life? I remember me applying for jobs still. When I came to America, maybe I applied for, I'm not lying, maybe like 300 jobs. I used to apply. I applied for a job till I got to a point that I even had a job. I forgot that I had a job. When I woke up during the weekend on a Saturday, I just woke up, brought out my laptop, and I started applying for jobs. At some point, I was like, brother, you actually have a job. Like, it had to register. I was so used to doing it. But now I know that it's not possible for me to be without a job again. At least not from my side. Oh, sorry, to be long without a job. Let me not say to be without a job. If I do want to get a job now, I know how to do it. Why? There was something I collated in that moment that came out to be something better. I remember in my team, we were doing some interviews, and somebody was suggesting, let's do like this, let's do like that. I said, this team never would have hired me. And they were like, oh no, why would you say that? I said, because some of these things you guys are putting in here, you don't know what it's like. Why? Because they hired you from your classroom. People like Angela, them that they came to recruit from their class. They're like, oh my gosh, you're so smart. Will you come work for us? And they were like, I don't really know. Let's talk about it. You guys are in here. You're in the chat. I don't really know. Do you have 401ks? What's your match? What's my sign-in bonus? You don't know. You don't know. You have never experienced it. You don't know. We know. We know. In fact, I was working for the company. And the company was still sending me rejection letters because I applied to so many roles within the same company. I applied. So I was working with the company for 6 months and they were still sending me, rejection. That was the level. So what failure have you encountered in your life? What setback? What have you encountered in your life? What have you deduced from it? What have you tabulated? And if you hadn't done it before, there's an opportunity to. You keep selecting the wrong person to be in a relationship with. You keep having these friends, you were like fake friends, all these things. Maybe you have a curriculum you can teach other people so that they don't get into these kinds of relationship. Or maybe you just learn how to apply the learnings from there in here because you are the common denominator of these failed relationships. Do you see? All right. I'd like somebody to share in the, oh yeah, my friend Tombra is here. So Tombra, I know you just joined, but I just love putting in the spot. So go ahead and share the insights you've gotten so far while I open the door for someone who's ringing my bell. Okay? Just unmute and go ahead and share. Ogonwokedi is here, so Ogo, go ahead and share something.
All right. Well, yeah, it's a powerful lesson, really. For me, I think the thing that has struck me is that it's really about the perspective shift. So rather than looking at it from the standpoint of everything is lost, look at it from the standpoint of what has been gained. And I think the example of the Joggins raft is a really interesting one. It just shows that until we fail, we actually don't have the opportunity to learn and to progress. So that's really appropriate for me. I see that playing out for me because I can see some of the recent situations that I've had that have really seemed like failures. I can also see the growth that has come from them. So it's really a powerful tool to shift our perspective and to start to see failure as success. And when you think about the journey of the human race and how far we've progressed, we definitely wouldn't be anywhere that we are in terms of science and technology and all of that if there hadn't been plenty of failures along the way.
Plenty, plenty, plenty. Chaka, go ahead and share, please.
Hi, Lady
Hello,
Valerie.
Boo,
How you
missed
doing?
you.
I'm sorry I've missed, I think, 1 or 2
I
classes.
know,
I
I missed you.
apologize, but I'm back. Yes, I was trying to put things in order so I can run away for a long vacation. Anyway, it's good to be back. I'm happy to be here. I'm very passionate about these conversations on failure because I believe, this is my own experience, we don't have enough of these conversations. And what it has done for us who have not heard a lot about it is that it caused us to undermine our making process. So the process that will make us to become is undermined by a gospel. I use the word gospel loosely of, if it's God, then he'll fix it. No, if he's God, then he'll make you. And then you don't get to pick the process of making. And so I think that the things that make people throw in the towels almost sound mundane to people who lived a couple of years ago. So someone says, I'm done. I couldn't meet up my rent this year or this month. And so I don't believe anymore. I don't have any more faith. It's not a death sentence. It's tough, is it? Yes. And so I think that more of these stories on conversation on failures, more of scriptures about who we are and identity and what we're made to. I mean, the faith that saved us took people into the lion's den and out. The faith that saved us is that says that thou therefore as a good soldier endure hardness. I don't think we have enough tough people. We have
No, we don't.
a toughness crisis. And we have to tell adults all the time that we've got a toughness. I mean, with the increase of people on prescription meds, abusing substance, everybody is leaning on something. Something is holding them up. We've got a toughness problem. And I think that it may be as a result of not enough conversations on failures. I have failed. And I felt bad many times, but I'm detached from failure and said that it is not my identity. It's just a process. We are just walking through. We'll come out at the other side. We're going to be fine. And I say this as someone who lives in the reality of my less than perfect life, my very less than perfect life. The only reason someone will think my life is perfect is that I live in that of who I am, not what is happening to me. I'll just tell one story and I'll stop. 6 years ago, 7 years ago, I had an emergency surgery to save my life. And while I was recovering, 6 hours later, a friend calls me. She's ranting, she's wailing, she's falling apart. Her boyfriend has done something to her. And I said, oh, I'm sorry. Can I pray with you? And I prayed with her and said, thank you so much. I feel better. She never asked, how are you? I was still, the anesthesia had not cleared. I could just barely wriggle my toes. I just come out of surgery 6 hours later. But that's how we are in an anti-failure world, very blinded to anything except our immediate reality. So being more in touch with, don't expect failure because we live a life of faith, but don't act surprised. It's just your making. No big deal.
No big deal. Is it going to hurt? Yes. You know, this thing Chaka just said, Chaka, and that is the thing. Yesterday, you'll see it here, sometimes when we're going through something, we think it surely my own is the worst. I think we talked about it in the previous chapter. Surely nobody's thinking, you lost your job. You, at least they gave you 1 month notice. Me, they just told me from this office now, just be walking out of the building. We never want to see you again. You, your own is good. At least you have 3 children. Me, your own is good. If you find yourself in this cycle, know that you are not enduring hardship. guess what? Hardship occurs to all of us. So we all eventually endure it. The only difference is, how do you endure it? Listening about people who go in the labor ward, right? Every woman eventually pushes the baby out, especially if you're in a country where, or hospital where there's no epidural, or it's just a midwife that is birthing you, there are no painkillers. Have you ever seen a woman who said, the pain is too much, I'm not going to give birth to this baby? Like, we're not going to do it. Have you ever seen that? They all eventually do. Some are willing. Some say, I can't do it. Some say, as they're saying I can't do it, they're pushing on. As they are shouting, I cannot. In fact, the person's sibling will be telling you that this my sister does not have strength, though. Are you sure? But she's still doing it. If you even say you don't want to anymore, the baby is in the birth canal. The baby will not retract back. Baby still wants to come out. So at some point, if you don't push, baby is going to push you to push. When it says endure hardship as a good soldier, it talks about this majesty of calmness, this way of being where you can think ahead beyond this pain to say, there's a promise of a baby that's going to be in my arms really soon. So yes, I'm not feeling the pain any less than the next person. I'm not going to not cry or something, but there is a calmness about me because I'm certain of where we're going. Yes, it's painful. Yes, in fact, we have to transition to CS. What do I want, my baby? It's the goal that matters. What do I want, my baby? Oh, okay, get painkillers, you get painkillers, the progression slows. Whatever happens, what is coming out? My baby is coming out. In fact, sometimes that birth process is truncated in many sad situations. That baby doesn't make it. You go back again, go have another baby. It's never over till the dream, the promise comes through. Last week when we were reading, it said something about how that on this side of eternity, we don't get to retire. On this side of eternity, so long as they say, so long as you can fog up a mirror, like you breathe in front of a mirror and there's steam there, you're alive, you're still in the game. Nobody's going to tag you out. You're still in the game. If you like, just pretend, put your head under the sand. You're still in the game. You're still alive. You're still here. You're still here. Thank you, God and Chaka, for sharing that. You're still in the game. I can't do it. I can't do it. You're still going to that school. You might as well learn something. You're still in this life. You might as well thrive. You might as well. All right. Thank you. I'm seeing some of you are forwarding this link to others. Go ahead and forward it. Go ahead and register. If you just got the link and you didn't get to register after this class, go ahead and register and we'll keep going. Now, it goes on into different, more examples of failures and how they were turned around. And I want you to notice the use of certain words, right? How was America discovered? If we can go ahead and mute ourselves, thank you. How was, first of all, alchemists, right? Alchemists were this brand of chemists who said, gold can come out of every metal. So they would try, they would do distillation, they would do filtration, crystallization. They invented something. Are you saying the purpose of that thing was to take aluminum and bring gold out of it, take silver, bring gold out of it? This is an invention we know nothing about because it didn't serve any purpose, because the premise was wrong. The premise was wrong, but their process of research was rigorous. They didn't say, oh, I guess it can never happen. No, they were going to prove that it was not possible. They invented the alembic, the retort, sand bath. The things that they invented, we're using it now for other types of experiments. The water bath, the other valuable instruments. Every time I'm talking to you people, I hear stories. Let me tell you about one of my mentees. I thought, and she'll probably be watching this, there was a time, or she will watch it later. There was a time I introduced two people together, and I thought, oh, maybe these two people can kind of be a match, and the relationship didn't work out. I didn't know the lady. I knew someone who knew that, and I said, oh, this is my guy is looking for someone, and they got together, and it didn't work out. Good guy, good girl, but it didn't work out. There was a point later when we became friends. There was a point she said, I think I got into this relationship so that I would meet you. And you know, now I even have to remember how we met. That breakup felt like the world was going to end, though. Even me, I felt bad. You know, sometimes you feel bad. Why did I even introduce these two people? Oh, you don't know what is there in future. That person now has gotten married. They are both. Do you understand? Like life is going well on either side. But this is how we met. And since then, the work we've done together has transcended what could have been. There's some places you worked, you hated, but when you left there, you now knew how to deal with other people. There's some exes now, some of you should send money back to and say, thank you for breaking up with me. I was really doing rather. I don't know, I'm trying to say rather. If you know what the definition of rather is, put it in the chat. I was really doing, if for standing up, because I learned a few things from there. And thank you for breaking up with me, because you have coconut head. I couldn't have lived with you. Maybe one day I would have now become a murderess, because there's some people we should say, the toxic boss, send them a message at some point. Thank you for teaching me how not to behave. Now I'm in senior leadership. I'm seeing that it was imperative that I go through that. You tell your mother, thank you for raising me the way you did. Now I have my own teenager daughter, my eyes seeing road. Thank you. There's a gift in every lesson. I want to think, when you look at this alchemist now and you think, how could people be so stupid? Why would they think gold can come out of something? We don't know that the processes we enjoy today, to have silver earrings, to have steel pipes, to have all those things, is because these men had a foolish idea. What you call failure, if you just decide to reframe, if you just decide to look through another kind of lens, you will see it might not be that. You know, my friend Tombra, she's a coach as well, and she told me this thing. She said the tortoise and the giraffe, they occupy the same spot on the ground. If you look on the ground, the two of them, they might have the same footprints. They're both on the ground, but their perspectives are different. One can't even see above 1 foot of grass. Then that one is seeing story building level scenery. They can dodge danger. They can see that things are not as bad as they seem. But this tortoise is right there and seeing only this tiny thing in front of them. Even if they want to eat, they can only eat at the level of their vision. What point are you playing from? What point are you seeing from? Do you have shoulders you can stand on so that you can see and believe and reframe that? This is why we have coaches. This is why we do courses. This is why you're studying this book here today. You don't have to use your leg like that tortoise and walk slowly, step by step, moving. In fact, if you even do the hard work of doing that, you only move in one direction. What does the giraffe do? Just by turning his head, you can see this side, turning his head, you can see that side. Tortoise cannot. So watch the people who surround you at times of failure. You cannot take advice from someone who can't see from your level. They can't see from your level, you leave it. I don't think you should do this thing because, you know, people who go to startup companies, they are at a higher chance of losing their job and not, at least you have a secure future here and not. It's okay. Thank you for your advice. I'm not even saying quarrel. Don't quarrel. It's okay. Thank you very much. I don't think you should marry that guy because you see this other guy, he has money. This other one is just starting. If it were me, thank you so much. And then you are checking the level of access and the level of conversation, because this person clearly is not at your giraffe level. Then you can carry it and go ask your giraffe coach. Go talk with your seasoned mentor, people you trust. And I don't mean trust like, oh, they will not tell my secret. That's a very base level of trust. Don't be doing that kind of trust. If all the trust you need is so that somebody does not divulge your confidence, don't, it's a bad way to use trust. Don't use trust like that. Use trust for people who are loyal enough to tell you the truth and to see from your perspective. You understand? Even if you think, okay, because of this relationship's sake, let me take this advice. Remember that even if the giraffe bends his head to the level of the tortoise, it can't stay there. It can't stay. Your neck will pain you. You can't stay there. You can't stay at that small level. You can't stay there because you've gained stature. Your mind is telling you, I want to even grow to be as big as the other giraffes. I've seen a giraffe have a baby before and a horse. Do you know that the babies, they are born standing? I'm like, what a thing. Born standing. Like they're not learning to walk the way we are doing. No, born standing. You were not created to stay at that level. This is why you know that failure can't hold you down. You were not created to stay at the level of the tortoise. You're a giraffe. I'm a giraffe. Put it in the chat. It's okay. You can put it. Don't worry, you're not an animal. It's just your eye level. You are. You see different. You see different. If you're here, you're not watching Netflix. Netflix is good, by the way. If you go on IG, you'll see me crying because I watch one Netflix movie. But if you're not just spending your time on mind-numbing activities alone, you're spending your time developing yourself, growing, learning, studying. I want to applaud you. You're a giraffe, if it's who you are. Next time I hear you saying something about failure or something, I'll just tell you, is it not you again? You see different. You're a giraffe. We'll not smile and laugh like we who know, we know. We who know, we know. Okay, you started out saying, I want to go to this country, I want to do this, but you ended up somewhere. Remember Columbus, who discovered America on his way to India from a country that sent him. In that same vein, they got the landmass the several times of the country they came from, Britain. They had lands and properties that they could not have gotten anywhere else. They had a nation. They came to have a nation of their own. Look at what mistake brought. But some people would have stayed at that show and like cry. I don't know why my own is always like this. Where is this India? God, you say you would take me to the promised land. We're right there. We're right there in the promised land. We're right there sometimes, but we can't see tortoise level. We can't see. We can't see. All right. So now, he now took this. Let me share with you this particular story. There are many stories. Oh, should I share this China one? And if you're wondering why I have my head turned, I have two screens, the one I'm sharing from, okay? So let me share with you here. Basically, somebody else was trying to spend the time, just trying to get to China. He was a missionary. He was trying to get to China to preach the gospel. You know, when you have been meditating, you even put the vision board up there. You put Asian faces, everything. And then it was stopped by the government, immigration, all sorts of things. They said, oh, there's a war going on, so you can't come in. And that's how they say, go to Africa. David Livingstone. I'm sure at that point, it's like, which continent is this? I know Asia, it has 1 billion people. They had seen the vision. Be careful that you never replace purpose with vision. Vision is a subset of purpose. Vision is a way to achieve purpose. Your purpose ever stays the same. That's why you were created. But your vision is just from where you are, how you can accomplish purpose. That's what vision is. And vision can change. Go and ask Oprah Winfrey. Vision can change. 1 minute you are at the top of the world as the world's biggest and richest presenter and moderator, talk show host. And then the next minute you are a failed TV station owner at the top of her game, just because she dared to try something new. How many of you, if they told you that, oh, you will fail, would you still try the thing? You will fail, later you will succeed, then you would then fail, then you will succeed again. You just be like, it's okay, I'm already a billionaire. What am I looking for in my life? I don't even want to stress. In this season of my life, I've just kind of decided to take things slow. It's a lie, it's a lie. You're just afraid of failure. It's a lie. In this season of my life, I'm kind of content. Don't miss next Sunday, because we're going to talk about the word contentment. We're going to talk about it. Anyway, that's how he reached Africa. That's how he reached Africa. The failure spurred him to almost superhuman effort. Of course, when you go read these things, you will see, even in history, you can put these names and you will see this as well. Just wow. This one was about a painting. Let me share you something. There's a book I always recommend, the 10X Principle. 10X is better than 2X. He spoke in there about what was it? Michelangelo, when he was doing his painting, because he's sculpting, because he wanted to be that much more accurate. Do you know he used to go and steal dead bodies? He will go and steal bodies. He wanted to so mimic the human form. You know how sometimes people do a painting of you, a sculpting of you, you are like, I'm sorry, did you see my face? And you did that thing and you thought it was me? This guy was like, no mistakes. We're going to do this thing right. While he was studying dead bodies, people were doing 10 sculptures. Other sculptors were working. In fact, for all of their 10 or their 20, maybe he has still not done one complete. You're busy studying bodies. Look, in this business, movement is the name of the game. Just be selling. Numbers are critical. But he knew that his failure, in quotes, of production was producing for him the level of excellence that a lot of people will never, not even have not attained, will never attain. And he went and studied bodies. They say if you see the David, it is one of the most magnificent sculptures in the world. One of the most magnificent. It's like it's alive. You see it, you feel like you can touch the vein. This person worked with corpses. All right. Going further. Now let's get to the inspirational part. Because yeah, just like Brian, are you saying this my own story can be different? For real, for real, for real? Do you really, really, really mean it? There's so many people counting on me. I cannot afford to fail. You cannot afford not to fail. That's what I want to assure you today. You cannot afford not to fail. Because failure is how we know that you're growing. Failure is how you can get to the next best thing. Failure is how you can live out your purpose because you're trying something new, you're venturing. Failure is often the turning point. If you can see my screen, let me know in the chat. Failure is often the turning point, the pivot of circumstance that swings us to higher level. You know have you ever done this? If you do roller coasters, you'd have done this pendulum ride. It will first come down. You think we're down. When it swings you higher. And for every, what do they call this thing? Ambit. For each amplitude, you keep going higher. You keep going higher. Failure is that pivot. Now, see this thing. It may not be financial success because we're like, maybe we look at the goal. The goal of me investing this money was to gain more money. So there's no way to gain more money. So brother, how can you say this thing still has meaning and purpose? It may not be for the goal that you went in it for. It may not be fame. It may be new droughts of spiritual, moral, or mental inspiration that will change us for all the later years of our lives. Life is not really what comes to us, but what we get from it. Okay, it has happened. It has happened. It has happened. You can't change it. What is something that you've decided you will take from one failure? I'm asking these not as rhetorical questions. I'd like you to put them in the chat. Make it real. What is something that you will take from what came to you? You didn't ask for it. You didn't want it. You didn't even know you would make that mistake. But what is something that you will take from that? And if you don't want to put it in the chat, I want to encourage you, write it down somewhere. This thing, just decide that it has happened, so I might as well extract from it. I might as well get something good from it, because it has what? It has already happened. I can't change what happened. What am I going to take from it? What can I mine from it? Now realize that whether man has, this is something he's saying, whether man has had wealth or poverty, failure or success, counts for little when it is past. It has already passed. It has already passed. It counts for little. Think about it. If you had double the allowance you had in university, you know that money you thought was small. If you had double or even triple it, would it have changed your life? It has passed. I think that time our Addie's here, our weekly money, Addie's my big sister, for all of y'all who don't know. My big sis. Our money was 750 naira. Yeah. Some of my rich friends like Tombra, it was in the thousands, but my own, you understand, I was a humble somebody. 750 naira. But even if it was 1.5, I don't know how would my life, how would that have changed my life? Whether wealth or poverty, it counts for little. It counts for little when it is past. You're trying to even describe what you went through right now to settle into the new country. You're now in Canada. Oh my God, this permanent resident. At some point, that story becomes stale because now you've been here for 15 years. The story is now what is stale. So when you think about it, you know for certain that even this thing I'm going through now that doesn't seem like it will work out is stale. It has passed. It will not count. It will not count. It's what I choose to do beyond here that will count. It will not count. There's but one question for him to answer. To face boldly and honestly, this is you. You can put your name here. As an individual, alone, you see why we're doing the retreat? Alone with your conscience and your destiny. You hold your conscience in one side. I will be true to myself. In the second hand, your destiny, my purpose, my vision, where I'm ultimately going. You hold these two things in your hand and you say, how will I let that poverty or wealth, or that failure or success, or that disease or that health, or that anything you are choosing, or that breakup or that relationship, or that bereavement or that life, how will I let it affect me? How will I let it affect? This is the only choice. And when you get your workbook from which will be coming to you tomorrow, you'll see that there's a question here. How would you let that incident, how would you let that failure affect you? If it has left you better, truer, nobler, put any good positive word here, positive, stronger, then your poverty has been riches. The failure has been a success. This collective frame it, write it out somewhere. This is the whole premise of this chapter. Then it would have been a success. This is how you just turn the failure. okay, this thing that happened, has it made me a better person? Has it done this? Has it done that? Okay. Then it has made me a success. I remember the first day I found out about this woman who has this organization. It's called Triple A, triple something in America. And I said, what is this organization about? And he said, it's a mother that has 3 children with autism. I said, sorry, come again? 3 children with autism. I don't know if you know any, they call them autism moms, any mother of a child with special needs. One is hard. And they say this person has 3. I said, does she have more children? No, this is the only one she has. She has one of the biggest outreaches in the Houston area. And I was thinking to myself, how can somebody have 3 children? People that we should be pitying and trying to help. And like if she says, oh, somebody is not helping me, all of us, we should join her to be like, it's true, it's not fair. She's the one that found purpose. She's the one that had, this thing happened over 10 years ago. I can never forget it when I first found out. I can never forget it. In fact, the children had grown up and everything had gotten so much, like they were fine. Please hold on. I have one child nearing me. And Tombra, if you would ask somebody something from what we are teaching. So because Tombra was not able to speak, the rest of you didn't speak. Wow. Is that how y'all do? Somebody tell me sorry. Oh, they didn't tell me sorry. I don't know if you have noticed. Nobody has told me sorry in the chat or anywhere. Nobody told me sorry. Okay, thank you, Adi. Thank you for telling me sorry. Oh my gosh. It's okay. Tombra, thank you. I just put you on the spot because I had, these are life is. You know when you have this perfect call, you've thought in your mind, this is how it should be beginning to end, and this is how I'll speak and stuff, and a child comes to knock on your door. Some people will be so flustered, they'll be like, I could never recover myself again after that slip up. Where you are going to is too far for a slip up to keep you held up. And that thing is untweetable. Somebody write it down. Okay. So it is what you make of it. And what you make of it in coaching, we call that term reframing. It is how you reframe it. So if something good has come to you and it made you negative, it made you vain, arrogant, and all these things, whatever it is, if healing has come to you and it made you look down on other people, like people who didn't have faith, it didn't make you well. It probably hurt you more. So how are the things that happen to you or the things you happen to, how does it leave you? Does it leave you better? And that is how you know that you have made failure into success. Okay? Now, this part, me and God, sometimes we argue. We argue because I'm just like, why? Chiaka is a minister, so maybe Chiaka can explain this. But like, why? Why is failure one of God's educators? If you tell me, I will listen. I promise you, God. Talk to me face to face. I don't gotta learn it the hard way. I used to hear a word. But it is one of God's educators because God does not waste anything. God does not waste anything. There's nothing that happens to you, with you, at you, for you, against you, that is wasted. Nothing is wasted. The great philosopher Timi Dakolo sang, nothing they spoil for God and nothing they spoil for God. Nothing is wasted. This is why it is one of God's educators. I don't think God sat down and said, you know what, let's punish this person who's really trying and let her grow from there. No, it just happens to be one of God's educators because it has happened. We might as well use it. And God is like, oh, yeah, marshal that thing, bring it this way, put it on the blackboard. It's going to help. It's going to educate her. That's just what it is. It's already here. Let it be an educator. It is experience leading man to higher things, the revelation of a way. When they asked Thomas Edison, okay, all these failures, you have had over 900 of them now, how far? And he said, I just learned 900 ways not to do it, not to find electricity or not to make electricity. I just found all those other ways. When the people were trying to distill crude oil to see what can we use this black, gunky, dirty thing for? What did they say? They just found other things that they can be used for. Okay, remove this fraction, this one is not useful, this one is not useful. Eventually, this part they'll use it in petroleum jelly. This part they'll use it in kerosene. This part they'll use it in everything that was distilled away ended up having use. Even the very hard part that is tar that would have been wasted, they found a use for it in road. Reframing. Every time you kind of find yourself in this space where you are not really, it's getting hard, go again and study. How was anything discovered? How was anything built? You'll be amazed. Go and visit a museum. Go and look again. The best men in the world, those who have made the greatest real successes, look back with serene happiness on their failures. The turning of the face of time shows all things. Is this some things? This reminds me of the scripture that says all things work together for good. Do we have to have all things? No. Some things we could have avoided by our own folly. Some things we could have avoided by other people just having sense. Some things we could have avoided by not having climate change, whatever it is. But all things do what? They work together for our good. The turning of the face of time shows all things in a wondrously illuminated and satisfying perspective. Have you noticed something? If you watch TV or you study, I love biographies. If you listen to biographies or you watch things, you see they start to have these shows, failure. What do they call this thing? The day I failed or my worst day. It's only successful people they always put on those shows. Have you noticed? No, if you have noticed, put an emoji in the chat. My worst day, my greatest failure. Have you ever seen them carry just any riffraff from the road? No, it's successful people, billionaires. And those billionaires too will come and be like, oh my gosh, my worst day. I can't believe it. There was this deal I did. And then the deal ended up. No, put in the chat. If you've ever watched any show like that, put, is it true or is it not true? You can just put, it is true. Oh, it is false. And they would just be talking about their failure like this. They would even say, oh, it hurt. That was when we parted ways with this company. We never thought we could recover all those things. They would tell you finish. Are they still here? They're still here. Did they make it? They still made it. Wow. Wow. And then that's when you will know that nothing they spoil for God hand is really true. And every time I read these biographies, I read all these things, they'll be telling you the worst day in American history, the worst day in here. We talk about this independence, but we don't even know that there was a time the war was not won. They didn't even know that America would be a country. They didn't know. Okay. So as we're nearing the end, we're really doing it today. I'm so proud of y'all. We're like 70% of the way. Are you learning something? Are you learning? If you're learning something, let me see you. Let me see you. So now you are the billionaires we're talking about. You're the inventors we're talking about. You're the big media moguls, whatever example you want to use. What is on the other side of this vision, of this picture? Let me show you. Many a success, many a Kemi, many a Chigozie, many a Loretta, many a Tombra is thankful today that some petty success for which he once struggled melted into thin air as her hand sought to clutch it. Thank God, though. Thank God I didn't get that job. I would never have started this business. Thank God. Do you know I almost went to this place? But it looked like a failure at the moment. But there is something in your life. No, if there is something in your life before that you're thankful that it didn't work out the way you had planned it, please put in the chat. If there is something. Failure is often the rock bottom foundation of real success. If you, in a few, not many, because I also want you to enjoy more, in quote, successes, even though I know the failure is the path to the success, but I want these things to get to a culmination in your life where you celebrate. If you, in a few instances of your life, can say, those failures were the best things in the world that could have happened to me, should you not face new failures with undaunted courage and trust that the miraculous ministry of nature may transform these new stumbling blocks into new stepping stones? Basically, all that I said was this. If you were able in your life to reframe these things and look and see that there have actually been instances in my life where I was grateful for such and such a failure, it will help you that in future, you will face new failures. That means tomorrow, when something else happens, you will look at it with undaunted courage. And then you will trust that some miraculous ministry of God somewhere will transform again this stumbling block into new stepping stone. You will trust. It's like when David said, the God that helped me kill the bear and the lion. Because remember, this bear and lion, they were coming to steal the sheep. God help my, what do they call those things? You people that are mass communication people, sheep and ship. Anyway, it may transform this same thing. The way God delivered that bear into my hand and the lion into my hand, this is how it would deliver you, Goliath. Imagine you stood that way with your 5 stone that seem inconsequential. Say, bookshelf for IJ, how do you want to write this New York Times bestseller? And you look at your 5 stone. When people have agents, they have literary communities, fellowship at Harvard, you now say, from this small place, in this, you now say, the same way I did this, the same way this happened, this is also how it will turn. Wouldn't you face it like that? The book Psycho-Cybernetics, it says, if you can tie your shoelace, if you can learn to tie your shoelace, if you can learn to walk, there's nothing in your life you cannot accomplish. Even me, I say, Uncle Max, books that have imparted me so much. I call the authors uncle and auntie. I say, Uncle Max, now, wow, shoelace, $2 million, alpha. But the principle is this: if you can learn to master anything, that means you can learn to master anything. If you've ever failed in your life and you came out of it, you can fail at any other thing in your life and you come out of it. You can. And this is why when people like Steve Jobs, when they became a success and they made their first inventions and they were kicked out of their companies. I mean, their companies didn't understand them because like, wait, you've already built. Why are you still aspiring? But the corporate people didn't understand that it was this reiterative nature and this lack of fear of failure that made this person innovate. But they're stewards of this company now, and they're thinking, we don't want to risk the shareholder money. And Steve Jobs is like, I still want to do it. It don't matter. And they're like, you can't come and destroy what you built. Isn't that such a paradox? He built it. And now you say you cannot. And they had to kick him out. he went and built something else again and still came back. You can't look at some people and all you just see is iPhone. You look at Bill Gates, all you just see is vaccine. You have to step into the mind of such a person to understand what they do, what they did with Elon Musk. Sell PayPal today, the next day you are broke because you carried all that $300 million and you put it into, you say you want to go where? Mars? What is that? If me, I was Elon's friend, I would have told him to, Elon, sometimes, I don't know, what did you drink this night? My brother, enjoy your money now. You already built one thing. That's what you would say. Well, not you, because you are a visionary. You are an inventor. You are a what? You are all these and a bag of chips. Yes, that's what you are.
No, this is brother business.
Oh my gosh. So realize that our highest hopes are often destroyed to prepare us for better things. Who needs this encouragement right now? Let me just see your hands up. Let me just see your hands up. You can raise it up or you can put it in the chat. Our highest hopes are often destroyed to prepare us for better things. It reminds me of the person who asked Jesus, well, why is this person blind? And Jesus said, nobody did anything. So let me just ease your concern. Nobody did anything. Nobody has that much power to impact your destiny, your path to your destiny, or your speed to your destiny. Nobody has that much power. But that the glory of God might be revealed, we are going to reframe everything. Every stumbling block is a stepping stone. Every stumbling block is a stepping stone. You just tell yourself that. Don't even say it will be turned into a stepping. No. As it is, the stumbling block in my path is also a stepping stone. That's what it is. That's what I give it permission to be. It can't have power beyond what I allocate to it. The failure of the caterpillar, this is what Yewande started out talking with. The failure of the caterpillar is the birth of the butterfly. Imagine the caterpillar feeling himself. I can imagine the caterpillar, if the caterpillar were a Lagos girl going to a stylist and like, this is my body type, this is how I walk, so get me shoes that are comfortable for this. I have, how many legs does a caterpillar have? God help me. I have I crawl on my belly, so I'll need special type of shoes. And they finish designing for her, body positivity, all these things. And then the next day she's freezing into a pooper, a bilava. Which one? It's like, wait, what? What do you mean I can't wear those shoes? My body's turning into something I don't know. I failed. Oh my gosh. And then the next day she's flying. Do you know that if not that we celebrate the butterfly today, the butterfly can actually transform into a butterfly and still see no beauty in it and still be regretting the days of the caterpillar life. If things could only go back to where they were, I was happy at that time. I was eating grass. Now I'm just flying everywhere. I'm seeing the whole world. But then I was just with my green grass. I fell in love with that color. We can mourn for a day that was just that is 10% of our potential. We can mourn for that day. The passing of the bud is the becoming of a rose. The death or destruction of the seed is a prelude to its resurrection as wheat. Look, when you read these things, sometimes read it out loud. It will so impress upon your brain that you can't see things the same way again. Every time you see something, you will just see the flip side of it. You can't see things the same way. It is at night, in the darkest hours, those preceding dawn, that plants grow best, that they most increase in size. I dare say that most of our maturity comes from those dark moments. Should we have had it before? Yes. But somehow, that's where the lessons, they resonate the most. Have you ever gone through a breakup or a relationship? You started to put two and two together, like, oh, now you now see all the red flags. It's so clear to you. You now become a master. If care is not taken, you even start a podcast, spotting red flags as a place from your pain, because now you can see everything so clearly. Why was that where we matured? So let us fear only the failure of not living the right as we see it, leaving the results, the guardianship of the infinite. Sometimes we just say it's in God's hand, it's in God's hand, anything he wants to do. And God is like, my brother, move. My sister, move. Move in your mind. Move to reframe this thing. Don't just say, it has happened. I don't know what else to do. I guess I'm just going to stop. No, that is such a subtle way of giving up. Go again. Go again. This Thomas Edison, if he failed 10 times, it didn't work out, it's okay. I spoke about Abraham. I think I was in the church this week and I was talking about Abraham. Do you know, I didn't know Abraham laughed before Sarah. Did you guys know? If you knew, please put it in the chat. When you hear Abraham and Sarah, who did they say laughed? When we preach it in churches a long time, a lot of times, who did they say laughed? Sarah. Do you know that Abraham laughed? When I saw Abraham laugh, and I had to go to some pages to check, where did Sarah also laugh? Whether is it Sarah that taught Abraham, or is Abraham that first laughed? Abraham was alone with God, and God started talking all this big English. I've made you this, I've made you that. The Bible says Abraham was worshiping God. And after that, you know where sometimes words of prophecy have come to you so much, even as they are talking, you're just like, amen, in Jesus, one day. Because you know, let me just protect myself. Let me not really, I'm not saying I don't agree. It's just amen. That's how God now said, no, the way I'm going to do this thing now is that your wife, Sarah, Abraham came to that place to tell God to bless Ishmael. They've tried now, at least they came up with a pattern. They now found somebody, they've done this thing, now they've had a baby. God is now still saying that no, a baby will come from your womb. The Bible says Abraham laughed. He laughed in his heart. Abraham laughed. It's like she's 90-something years old. Maybe I need to remind you. I know you made that, but sometimes people can forget things. And some of you have pursued some of your friends that are like me, who are telling you you can do it, you can do it, and you're just like, I don't like toxic positivity in my life. That brother, anytime she see me, she won't hear that I'm in a down season and I'm in a this. She's always saying, you can see it this way, you can see it that way. You better just hug us more next time. Send us a message and say, I love that you are in my amen corner. And God said, I will do these things. Abraham said, I've heard you, I've heard you. We cannot leave everything to the result. Because as he's telling Abraham these things, he's still directing Abraham on things to do. Then now, in our eyes, God now say, go and sacrifice. Oh my gosh. Anyway, let's leave that side. That side is a divergent. Because some of the things that seem like failure, you know they were instructions. God said, close that business. God said, leave that company. God said, move to this city. And to other people, it looks like demotion, but you know you heard. It looks like a failure, but it's a stepping stone. If you can think of any supreme moment of your life, any great success, anyone who is dear to you, and you consider, my God. No, who is this statement? Who is it doing? You consider how you reach that moment, that success, that friend. You will be surprised and you will also be strengthened by the revelation. You will be tracing back. Is that story I just told you about that person I met? Look, millions of dollars can come from that relationship, new businesses, new ideas, new relationships. But you will see how there was a lot of failure. There was a lot of unplanned things. The reason I met that person was because rain was beating me. I forgot my umbrella. The reason this thing happened was that you will be able to trace back step by step through the genealogy of circumstances. You know when I say a circumstance happened, it's not normally a good thing because circumstance, the way the word is, if you already know, it's something that connotes it. You will see how logical has been the cause of your joy and success. From where? From jollophing? No. From sorrow and failure. from sorrow and failure. And that what gives us most happiness today is inextricably connected with what once caused us sorrow. These children that you're happy for now, you're doing dirty December with. Everybody's watching, wearing matching pajamas. You have forgotten what they did to you to give birth to them, the pregnancy, how the pregnancy slapped you, how terrible twos came and all the tantrums and all the teenage drama. You've forgotten. Now that thing is giving you so much happiness. It is just a logical flow. Give it time. Give it diligence. That means you keep going back to do what you know is right. And then the law of gender says, when time sits upon this thing, it will come out your way. Somebody say amen. Say amen. I feel like that was a prayer. Many of the rivers of our greatest prosperity and growth have had their source and their trickling increase into volume among the dark, gloomy recesses of our failure. Many, 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 many. All right, we're almost there. Okay. There's no, can you still see my screen? Okay, you can't see my screen right now. Let me go back. Yeah. There's no honest and true work carried along with constant and sincere purpose that ever really fails. It does not really feel like that. It might turn into something else. It might become a lesson in how not to do something, but it never really fails. Every time people use Kodak as an example, Kodak refused to grow, and now iPhone and everything took over. Nobody buys Kodak camera anymore. It's not true. People still buy camera. Okay, Kodak started doing printers now. Are you there? You're not there. Nokia, if Nokia had competed with BlackBerry, or BlackBerry didn't know iPhone now. Do you know that all the other successes, they built upon what BlackBerry had put in place? Nothing's ever really a failure. Do you know Nokia still exists as a company? Yes, it's not as valuable as it used to be before, but it's still there. And do you know what? One of the major executives of Nokia, I think is the board chairman or something, he goes around to conferences talking about failure. I've seen him at a couple of conferences. He travels from Finland, where they are, go to another company and says how to know if you're getting stuck in innovation in your way. So Nokia now has become the crucible of information, innovation information. There is always something good that comes out from it. If it seems to be wasted effort, I put 10 years of my life into that relationship. Well, the next one, you married in 7.5 months. Now, how far? You redeem time. You redeem time. It will prove to you a new lesson of how to walk. The secret of your failures will prove to you the inspiration of possible successes, except you're not living with the highest aims. If you have high aims, high goals, if you are in continuous harmony in them, you refuse to tell yourself that you are foolish for dreaming this big. If you stay true to them, you are a success. Full stop, underline, exclamation mark, you're a success. If you have big dreams that you allow yourself to aspire to, you're already a success. No matter what statistics of failure a nearsighted and half-blind world of critics and commentators may lay at his door. This is why you need communities like this. This is why you need to have a coach. I cannot state that anymore. Because you need your amen corner, and you need people who see you, not just for what you appear to be, but for who you actually are and who you are becoming, for the potential that is within you. The success is the man living with the highest aims, as best as you can. This is what we're learning next Friday, and in continuous harmony in them. I know it failed, I'm going again. Ma, you are going back again? Are you sure? This is the second time you dropped out of that program, go back again. Oh, I've learned that maybe nursing is not my thing, so I'm going to do business. It's okay. Go again. Go what? Again. Go again. High ideals, noble efforts will make seeming failures but trifles. They should not dishearten you. Don't feel bad that your dream was too big. I remember one of my friends telling me, she was saying how, her goal was to make $1 billion, and we laughed. I said, well, look at it. Even if your goal was $1 billion, if your goal were $1,000, at least you have passed it. You have passed it. You were on your way to the billion. And you have landed somewhere. Yes, you have not reached it, but you are nearer it. Someone said, one of my coaches, Paul Martinelli, he said that people were always calling me success, but he was laughing because they didn't know that he was missing his goal. His goal was $100 million when he started the John Maxwell team. His goal was $100 million, but they will arrive at 10 million. And people were like, oh my gosh, we had such a great year. Ho, ho, ho. And he was like, that wasn't even the goal. So in his mind, he had failed. But to everybody else, he wasn't. Might it be this thing you are considering that you are failing, you are still looking at your neighbors, is because you are not failing at a high level. Have bigger goals so that when you fail, at least all of us can stop and notice that was a real failure. Because if you're going to fail anyways, why not fail at attempting your big ideals? Why not fail at the bigger dreams? Because if you go and ask people who are attempting smaller goals, they still fail anyways. You might as well go for your moonshot. You might as well go for your big dream. The rocky way may prove safer than the slippery path of smoothness. Birds cannot fly best with the wind, but against it. Ships do not progress in calm. When the sails flap idly against the unstrained mast. You know, when the mast has the strain against it, that's when it's carrying wind. It's called like gathering wind. That's what propels the boat forward. So your nature is to thrive in adversity. That's your nature. It's your nature. Like you can't help it. You thrive in adversity. Put it in the chat. I thrive in adversity. This is what I do so that I can pull it up. You thrive in adversity. So as we end today, I want you to see, we're talking about the alchemists who they want to transmute the baser metals of failure into the later. We are alchemists. Let me put it that way. The other alchemists, they wanted to change every metal into gold. But we are proficient, masterful in the art of turning failure into pure gold of higher success. But note this. This is if your mind is kept true. It is kept constant and untiring in safe service. What is the service? It's not just the work. In service to your bigger self, your greater self, your most authentic self. This is what I want. I want to still keep working at it. I want to still be this person I see in my mind. God has shown me all these dreams, all these visions. I am untiring. I'm unfledging. It looks like I fell down now. I stand up again and I go again. Have that sublime courage. What is the word sublime? Undisturbed, pervasive, sublime courage that defies fate to its worst. Have you ever heard the phrase, do your worst? Let the world be doing its worst. I will be doing what? My best. Everything that wants to scatter, let it scatter. I will do my best. You do your worst. I will do my best. That is how we approach failure. I want to hear your questions. I want to hear your comments. I want to hear one thing you're taking from here today. And note that even as we do this on Sunday, we will be doing your best at all times, because you want to know, brother, so how then do I approach? I've now had this mindset reframe. About how to look at failure. I know now I do have personal influence to an idea of the kind of attitude I keep around me, the kind of people I'm around. I have this idea of how not to let external influences direct me, but how to come from within. That's the second chapter. And the third chapter I've referred to. And the fourth chapter, I've heard now that I can rely on myself. Me with God, Mercy Chinwa said, it's majority. So I've learned that one now. So how do I then be diligent about this life? We're going to talk about it on Sunday. And the final one, I want you to invite everybody you know for, because it is a standalone topic as well. Now, if everybody goes through this whole thing, it's great. We can have it all around. But this royal road to happiness, oh my gosh. I will target happiness in 2025. Happiness in 2025. Okay. Anyway, I want to hear from you all. How has this call been, and what are a couple of things you're taking from here? What are some memories that were stirred in you? Go ahead and unmute. I'll be taking 3 people, so go ahead and unmute and share. It's not just for you. Somebody else also wants to learn and grow from your story. Nothing this one for God handle. I'm waiting for you to unmute. So go ahead and unmute. Nothing this
On this call. It's been great. And I think for me, the thing that really stood out was that smooth and slippery path may not be the most sustainable. Sometimes the friction that comes with the failures and the challenges along the way actually make the success sustainable. It makes the achievement of the goal sustainable. And there's so much just reflecting on my life and the rocky chapters. There's just so much value that I've gained, that in fact I'm still gaining even now, from some of those failures that I went through in the past. It's amazing how much you learn when you see it differently. So this is just really powerful, and I'm going to take this definitely into the new year. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ogo. You know, we all have gold mines if we would only look for it. We all have gold mines. Sometimes we think we have sub stories, but what we have is gold mine. Have you ever heard somebody's story? They are successful and they now do their TED talk, or they now start talking. You start pitying them. They are the pictures of success. So they are where you are looking for to go, but you pity them because you're just like, this person is so far, because some of us, we couldn't have endured it, even to get to the dream, how much more? But yeah, those are gold mines, and we all learn from them. Okay, where are my people at? Thank you for sharing, Oko. Go ahead and unmute. I want to say every stumbling stone is a stepping stone. So good. I thrive in adversity. Jumoke, you here? Success. Go ahead and share. Wendy, Tombra.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Beautiful.
I am so sorry. I stepped away from my phone to go look for my headphones, and I came back early and I heard Tombra. I was like, wait.
Who's that?
Wait, what? No, today's session was really, really powerful. A very, very vivid reminder that really, and this is something I always see, like everything that we do is data. And if we will reframe our minds in the way that we look at failure, we'll be a lot more powerful. Because is it really failure? Is it just one way you found not to do something?
Wow.
And really, what happens is that you can't move and um, move purposefully towards anything if you are not willing to brace what comes with it, right? And failure is pretty much, it's pretty much a given, because what you call failure is for instance, what the devil thought had happened. Oh, Jesus Christ, he had died on the cross and it was a failure. But what did that then bring to the world? It's a bigger success. So if we really, really, really hold in our mind that really, as we move, it's momentum comes when we move, right? So we have to move. If not, we cannot build momentum. And a byproduct of movement is that there will be non-successes, but I won't even call it non-successes. There will be things that we will call failures, but really it's just the way that we've discovered. Think about my life over the last couple of years, and Brother, you were speaking earlier today, and you were telling me, oh, Toma, there was this thing that you tried. I remember that thing that you tried when you were doing this sessions and stuff like that. And it was when you said it, I was like, oh my God, oh yeah, I did try that. And I totally forgot. I totally forgotten. But
it will not be like gist. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like this. But what was I doing? I was building reps. And this is something that we have to, all the muscles for success require just that building, that consistency, that leaning into, that developing. So as we continue to try, as we continue to do, before you know it, boom, you're there. So let's reframe. I think I heard someone say once that he got so used to, I can't remember who told me this. I don't know if it was you, Brother, or it was my husband. Someone said to me that a guy was actually going out every day seeking refusals. I think it was the startup company, and he was looking for a funding partner. And every day he would step out and he was like, how many refusals am I going to get today? So what that means is that yes, he wanted to be accepted, but he knew that he had to pass the route. The route to that success will be through refusal. So he had desensitized himself. So he was no longer saying, "Oh my God, they just said no. Oh my God." He had totally removed it because in his mind it was like, okay, that's fine. That's what I'm going out. I want to. The more I get, so it was almost like I need to go out and push myself, because the more I push myself and the more I go out, that means I'm closer to what I actually want. So it's a really, really powerful reframe. So I advise everyone to just keep doing what you do and look at failure as really, it's just data. It's all data.
Yeah. In fact, what you just said, I think two books come to my mind. One book comes to my mind, Go for No. The guy was just trying, he was a sales guy, and his goal for every day was to get like 100 no's. Every no he would get, he was so happy he would be taking it, because for every 100 no's, he would get so many yeses. But if you say you are going for the yes, you will be sweating. You will be pressured. If you get 5 no's, you'll be like, but these are all failures. But when he reframed it to say, I'm going for the no's, which he knew you cannot have so many no's without some yeses, he started celebrating the no's. I think in Toyota as well, if they ever manufacture something, there was a time they were doing this. If they got something that, I think, was it Samsung or it was a Korean company, or Japanese, every time they would manufacture something that wasn't good, they would ring this bell and they would celebrate. Culture of accountability, because they wanted to own up to when they made a mistake. And also the fact that they made mistakes means they were also doing things right. And they were celebrating these things. It's just a reframe, okay? All right, we'll have Jumoke on here next. Go, Jimmy.
Sorry, just to add one, Jumoke, really sorry, just to add one thing. There's also something that Stephen Bartlett in the Diary of CEO says, I don't know if anyone listens to that podcast. He actually hired somebody who is a failure, something. I can't remember the full job title, but the person is the head of failure. So in the podcast that they've run, and they have
it's a real thing, like you are not joking with us.
Real thing, yeah. They have a quota of kind of experimentation, different things that they have to try, that they recognize is they're just trying things that might never work. And that head of failure is supposed to help them. I think it's either experimentation design, but I think the person had failure in their name, in their title. And their job was to make sure that they reach a certain number of failed tries.
Oh,
I mean, yeah, that they're trying. And what that would say to them is that we're really, 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 really trying so many things. And in trying the things is we recognize that it's important to try these things before we can actually succeed. So I hired somebody to make sure that we are actually failing as fast as we can. Honestly, counterintuitive, but makes complete sense.
Are you seeing my face? Are you seeing? I'm just like, I'm
going to look for it before the call is over. Before the call is over, I'm going to look for the name of
you are not failing, you are not trying. Yes, we're going to put that when we send the workbook out and the replay. I will put that link as well. If you haven't failed in the last 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, you are really not trying. If your children have not in some way rebelled or something, or they are being too careful, you have not pushed the envelope. What are we doing in these pretty decent lives, just not failing, not trying? Everything we just have mastery over. We don't want to grow anymore. We don't want to take a new job because I know this job, I have experience in it 25 years. So this person's job, if you are not failing, I beg you to try something at which you will fail. That's the work of this person. Try something and be like, you know what, I'm going to jump this, I'm going to do this 5K marathon. You run to a point, you can't run again, so you start walking. Do you see?
Yeah, I've checked it. It's actually, yes, the title was Head of Failure. That's the role. I'll send you a screenshot, Balade.
All right, Jumoke, please share.
Okay, good evening, good morning, everyone. So for me, I've just been processing, most of what we've been talking about today, because I think it's an important topic, but it also requires, a lot of mind shifting. So as you were speaking, in fact, some of those examples, so I'm that kind of person that I'm avoiding failure. Maybe that's my target. So as you're speaking and saying some of those examples, in fact, unconsciously, God forbid, in my mind, I was like, no, how can she use that kind of example? Things like that. So that's been, that kind of person I have been. And so even, and then the last statement you made earlier about if you're not failing, you're not trying. It is really the kind to have and things come and analytical like see what's possibly go wrong and have a for it kind of different.
Me or is Jumoke's line cutting a little? Okay.
Hello.
Go ahead again, Jumoke. Let's see. If you guys can hear her clearly, just put it in the chat. But if not, go ahead again, Jumoke. I heard the first part, but I stopped hearing. But carry on.
Okay, so talking about you're not trying enough, and I think that I've been in that space a lot recently, where I'm looking for the best outcome. Sometimes it's about time, about resources. You don't want to waste things and all that. But this topic or this discussion has kind of helped me to reframe. Try to think that, okay, you have to try and do things, even target failing, so that something else might come out of it. Like you said, you might set out for something and feel that thing is started, your objective, but something else might just come out of it that you didn't even plan or imagine. So that was really a lot of light for me. So and also when sometimes I kind of try to numb the pain or the feeling of failing. So something happens, you want to sleep or you just want to get out of your mind. You're not actually processing to see what have I learned, what's coming out of it and all that. So yeah, so reframing it and trying to embrace and take learnings quickly, it's something that is also coming true. So I think that's it for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jumoke. Decide today before you change your mind, because tomorrow you'll be like, there was this nice talk about failure. Really, really nice, really cute. And you just go back to normal life. Go ahead. No, not just you. I'm talking to all of us, right? Pick something you're going to fail at. Your aim at this thing is to fail at something. I remember this she's not Chief Justice, Ketanji Brown Jackson. She said people told her, you know how to write. She was thinking, should I do law? Should I write? Should I do theater? And she said, maybe let me try this writing. So she gave herself a period to really write a novel. She said she wrote. At the end of the period, she looked at the novel. She said, this is not it. Like, I've tried it. She tried it, and in quotes, what people would say, she failed at it because she did not become New York Times bestseller, or she didn't publish or something. And then she was like, I think I prefer law. And then she was at this junction and she tried it. Okay, she failed. It gave her insight so that when she was on the law path, she won't be looking back and like, oh my God, did I miss? Is this something I would have? No, it helped her choose. So realize that the failures are for the lessons as well as for the path forward. All right, our final person for this time. Just unmute, ladies. Like, we're bold and we're wise. So I want to go ahead, Judith.
Okay, thank you so much. I think that this has been very, very deep. A lot of discussions. I joined late, but I think something that I think really struck me was the fact that that statement that said failure is one of God's educators and nothing is wasted with God. You know, it was deep. You know, I understand that every opportunity to work, every job or everything that you do gives you an opportunity to learn. But knowing that it is something that I have to be conscious of, that it is one of God's educators. So there is an obvious, you have to learn. Like, you don't go away from it without learning, because it is an educator. It is a design. It is designed in that way. I think that that's been so important, and remembering that nothing is wasted with God. So it's not really about you, you know, it is not wasted. So it's even an extra step, taking time to find the learning from that failure and from that opportunity, whether it is gray, whatever it is, taking the time to step back and say, what did I learn? What has come out of this? What is building me up for the future, for my future self, out of this experience? So this has been very remarkable. Thank you.
Remarkable. Remarkable.
Hi, Lady Balade. I'm sorry, I just
Hey,
unmuted. Can I still speak?
Please do, please do. And if there's
Okay.
anyone else you feel this
So-
biting within you,
Yeah.
Yeah, me.
Yeah.
okay, just put
So
your
like-
hand up and I'll take you next, okay, after Chaka. So
No problem.
Chaka, please go
No
on.
worries. I'm sorry, I had my pods in my ears and I was in the kitchen, so I didn't see that you had asked me to unmute. I was
That's
turning
normal
the soup
life.
with my left hand and listening and nodding. Okay, so two things that I've learned. Number one, failure is painful. We'll never trivialize that. And then I'm reminded again never to underestimate my need for an amen corner. You should never be alone. It is so key. Jesus, the whole Jesus was not alone. Even when he wanted to go and cry and get suddenly, he dragged a couple of people along. I'm telling you. So I am reminded again. That's number one, and it's so important. And number two is please fail well and learn. I'm saying this: when you fail well and learn. Once upon a time, I had a character test that I failed. God brought somebody in my life for a couple of years, 6 to 7 years, and the person was a thorn in my flesh. And I failed the character. I whined and whined and whined about it. Once I left that season, I knew I had failed my character test. And here's the part: the Holy Ghost was just nodding. You go take that test again, lady. So now it's been 15 years, and people
You
say
know that
things to
thing
me
is
like,
mercy. You know that thing is mercy
yes,
that the
oh,
test comes
oh
back to
yes,
you. Come
oh
on,
yes.
keep going.
So now people say things like, how are you able to take that or laugh about that? I'm saying that now I've learned my lesson. See, because I had coconut head before, but now that my ears are I'm functioning properly now. See? But it was not a good thing. I ought to have learned. So my advice is, if when you are going to fail, just fail well and learn. Learn what you need to learn and move on. Or you will continue a cycle and you just think that your village people are after you, for lack of a better word. Please translate that to global English. That's Nigerian Palace. Thank you.
Village people is when oh my gosh, fail and fail well. You see that thing I said yesterday? This thing that, in fact, somebody said once that, oh, people always feel, they always tell me, oh my gosh, we see you so high, we see you doing this, we see you doing that, like, oh, why are you not this thing? And somebody told them, well, this is where you are now. I know sometimes we think, oh, but I should have mastered that, I should have, but you didn't. Okay, so let's get to mastering it. But don't think you are this person who you shouldn't have any issue again in your life. No, we're on this side of eternity. We still they learn. If you don't reach, just rapture and be going to heaven. The rest of us, we're still learning, building, you know. All right, Wendy, talk to us.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. So my name is Wendy, and I'm calling in from Atlanta. I'm in Dallas, Georgia, in particular. So I used to be with prepaid legal. You know, like I say work for them, or you know, as a business thing. You know how do the business stuff. Anyway, I was with prepaid legal, and there was something that they were doing. They gave us like a sheet of paper, and it had 1,000 no's. Okay, it had 1,000 no's. And what we'll do with the no's, with the sheet of paper, is that each time we try to, you know, like sell the product or whatever, and they said no, we'll check that one off, and we were to get to 1,000 no's. And the thing about it is that if we didn't have that goal of getting to 1,000 no's, you wouldn't know that you'd be a better person at the end of the 1,000th no, right? So, and then if you got 3 no's, you gave up already. But to get to 1,000 no's, you know how
the Bible says, how many times should you forgive? And it says 70 times 7. And the thing is that you can't really keep track of that, right? So with the 1,000 no's, as you get into your 1,000 no's, you are transforming. You're developing hard skin, tough skin, and you're finding out that you can do much more than you ever thought you could handle, etc. So it was just an interesting exercise that we did back then, you know. And as Brother was talking, I was just imagining the different things that I said I would do in 2024 that I barely started. And the reason why I barely started was because I didn't want to fail in it, or fail at it, or fail during it, fail around it. I didn't just want to have anything to do with failure, because I felt like, let me not fail. Let me just succeed once I start. So you know what that does? You stall and you don't start. And the word procrastination is all painted and framed on your favorite wall in your room or home, you know? So, but I'm just so excited about this particular topic because 2025 is looking great already. Amen. So thank you so much.
I love it. Oh, look at, you see, you wouldn't know if somebody didn't tell you. And I want to encourage all mothers. I want to admonish, I want to strongly say, don't celebrate 100% as though you've lost your mind. And then when it comes to a C, you are just flipping out. No, we celebrate every new attempt. Every attempt. I'm not saying they should have F. Do you understand? But if they do something, you don't say, see where you made mistakes. See the two places, like, oh my gosh. So in this house, because I know my kids are really smart and they are perfectionistic. Oh my gosh. If they're not getting something, just the attempt, I'm just like, oh. And my son, he will not start like he's the motivational speaker. He'll be like, a growth mindset is just the way the growth mindset is different from a fixed mindset. It doesn't mean they don't both try, but like the growth mindset person is looking for just to keep repeating and keep getting better, while a fixed mindset person, they get discouraged when they don't get something right. I'm like, you go, dude. Like, who are you? We'll be like, yeah, that's what we learn here. Let's grow. How do we grow? By failing. This mastery, don't worry, me myself, I've lived it. My perfectionism is here. I don't want to try. If I'm not getting 100 over 100, I don't even want. Do you understand? But the failures, they are good. It means I'm trying. Because what I already know, I already know. Anyway, thank you so much for sharing that. I hope you will start your failure streak tracker for 2025. I want to commit to you guys. I want to fail at least 10 times. Failing does not mean I failed the whole goal. No, I want to find ways, 10 ways that this thing doesn't work. Because in finding 10 ways that this thing doesn't work, it means I would have tried more tactics than I used to try before. You see? So that's my own personal goal. And at the end of the year, when we're doing this, because we're going to do Majesty or Calmness again in 2025, it's going to be a year-end program. You see, now I've made this commitment publicly. Somebody be on my amen corner. Tell me you can do it. Yeah, thank you. All right, can we have the final person? Did I see someone put up their hand? Final person before we leave today. Success, are you on this call? Like for real, for real? But Success was here the whole time. Who else was here? Loretta. It's going. It's going. Well, if you want to unmute, but let me just reiterate to you, next Friday we're here. I know you're doing Christmas jollof. I know you're doing all these things. When the word comes to you, something will come to test the word. It didn't come to test you so that I can see it can make you fail. No, it came to test you, to reinforce what you've learned. So tomorrow or next tomorrow, when the food you're cooking for Christmas Day isn't going well, when something isn't doing when one thing looks like it's a failure, you're just going to be like, I'm being educated. All things are working together for my good. This thing is building in me capacity, is building in me character. That's what you'll see. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I love you. I love to hang out with you. And see you next Friday. Thank you for those of you who keep, inviting people. And I believe we're all growing together. And resetting, retreating, rejuvenating. I'm proud of you. Heart.
Thank you, Braxton.
Bye.
Thank you,
Thank
y'all.
you.
Everyone.